Welcome back. This is your third sample question to help us take those next steps in understanding the Startup Visa program and how it relates to your full skills exam. So this question is with Ling, and we'll see that this one is, I would say, medium in difficulty. If you can answer this quickly though, especially after answering the first two questions we looked at, and of course after viewing the video on this lesson, and of course reading through the links that we have set for you, this one will probably be pretty easy for you. Now let's jump right into this one here. So we have Ling. Now Ling is a co-owner of the Shanghai Cybernetics Company, and along with her three business partners has received an investment of $210,000 from a designated venture capital group. She contacts Layla, an RCIC, because Ling would like her to help the group organize their permanent residency applications. She tells Layla that her co-owners are similar to her in that they each own 25% of the company's stocks, are single, scored a band 6 in each category of their IELTS exam, and have $10,000 in savings to help them settle into Canada once they receive their permanent resident status. Layla informs the four people that they meet all of the criteria for the startup visa and can borrow $2,500 each from the investment in order to meet the proof of funds requirement. In what way did Layla misinform her clients? Now we have A. Ling would be the main applicant, so the rest of the co-owners do not have to meet the language requirements. B. She advised them correctly and should proceed with the application. C. They would not meet the requirements in terms of funds. D. They would not meet the requirements in terms of the amount of the investment they received. Now, if you are at home watching this, you can press pause right now and try to get the answer yourself. We'll take a pretty detailed look at why the answer you got was correct or incorrect over the course of this video. So you can press pause right now if you want. Welcome back. So what we're going to do, of course, in every scenario we take a look at in preparing for the ICCRC Full Skills Exam is we need to really take a look at the important parts of that scenario. Now in this one here we have quite a few elements that probably jump out at you. So we have Ling and her ownership, of course, of the company. She has three business partners. They have that investment of $210,000 from a designated venture capital group, so that should be jumping out at you. We have the ownership requirements in a little bit more detail here as well. So we have each own 25% of the company's stocks. They're single. They scored a band 6 in each category of their IELTS exam, and they have $10,000 in savings. And at the end you have Layla's information here where she says they can borrow $2,500 from the investment in order to meet the proof of funds requirement. So let's take a look at this really in detail, step by step, to be able to incorporate your knowledge of the Startup Visa program into an exam scenario. So when you take the real exam, if you get a question similar to something like this, you will be laughing because you're going to be so happy that you can answer this question really easily. So as you keep breaking down this scenario, remember that there are four business partners here. Each own 25%. They each have that IELTS band 6. The amount of savings that they have and that money that they will receive from the designated venture capital group. Now, when we go back to the question itself and take a look at everything as a whole, we can see the question, of course, in what way did Layla misinform her clients? And we have all of those potential answers. So we have A, Ling would be the main applicant, so the rest of the co-owners do not have to meet the language requirements. Let's explore that answer, and we'll see if you were on the right road with that answer when you answered this question. Now, when we take a look at this one here, with Layla being the main applicant, so remember that there isn't really a main applicant in this. All of the people would apply for permanent residency together. It's different from family class or something like that, where the main applicant would need to meet some requirements and then the rest of them are sort of accompanying. In this case here, we have essential staff, and those would be all. If you want to consider main applicants, you just think of them all as the main applicants, really, because they're all applying for permanent residency under this stream. Okay, and they all have to meet those requirements, of course, in terms of language, ownership, proof of funds, etc. So with this, we know that A is incorrect. Now we are left with 3 potential answers. So let's take a look at D over here. So for D, we have they would not meet the requirements in terms of the amount of the investment they received. This one should be pretty straightforward for you after you've gone through the other lessons on this topic. So from the scenario, we can see that they received an investment of $210,000 from a designated venture capital group. When we link that to what we saw before, we can see that the minimum amount required in this stream is $200,000. So they definitely exceed that. And that is why D would be incorrect as well. So we saw that D is incorrect and A is incorrect. That leaves 2 options for us. We have B and C. So let's explore those 2 together. Now, as we keep digging into these options and looking for clues that lead us towards the correct answer, we need to take a look at B and C. And again, we're going to look for some hints, some clues that are going to help us choose one answer over the other. So you probably have an idea already about what the answer could be, but we need to, again, look into that scenario and see the information that they're giving us. So we can see that they're single, they have $10,000 in savings to help them settle in Canada. And Layla informs those 4 people that they can borrow $2,500 each from the investment. And she recommends that they do that so that they can meet the proof of funds requirements. All right, so it's a pretty tricky little thing here. And I think right away you probably know that this is not possible. It's pretty unethical, of course, that they're using if they're going to use the investment money for their personal expenses and to meet that LICO. And then on the other hand, you might try to justify, maybe internally, you might justify that answer. And you might say, yeah, well, if they don't have the money, why can't they just borrow from the company? Because they'll pay them back eventually. Well, remember that whenever we have these types of situations, we always look at the laws and what the IRCC tells us to do, what the ICCRC says to do, and that's what we do. So with this one here, now we know that you can probably tell by this sad person with his thumb down that it's bad advice. Why is it bad advice? Well, you can't go and use that investment money for personal expenses or for living expenses, right? So then we know that, of course, we're looking at one of these options as the correct answer. So if you got this answer correct, congratulations. I hope that after completing these 4 videos on this topic, you have a better understanding of this, and hopefully you got this question pretty easily, even though in terms of difficulty, I would say that this is a medium difficult level question. Okay, thanks again for tuning in. So that should conclude your lesson on the Startup Visa program. You went through 4 videos now, and you probably read all those articles and the CIC website, of course. So a big thank you for all your hard work in this area, and congratulations again, because now you can cross off the Startup Visa program from your list of things to study. All right, have a really great day, and I'll see you, or talk to you, I guess, during the next lesson.